I did a video a few days ago about A Life in Stalker, considering the state of it in Stalker 2. Now, it's time to move on to other topics, such as the sea consciousness, or common consciousness. It's also known in Russian as Osoznание. It's the result of a secret project of the Clandestine Research Society, known simply as the Group. For the purposes of Noosphere alteration, it's impossible to talk about the sea consciousness without also talking about the Noosphere. The sea consciousness is ultimately responsible for the creation and expansion of the zone. They appear as the primary antagonists of Stalker's Shadow of Chernobyl. They're also mentioned in Clear Sky and Call of Pripyat, but we actually see them in Shadow of Chernobyl. For some background, in the aftermath of the 1986 Chernobyl disaster, the Soviet Union decided to use the Chernobyl exclusion zone as a testing site for a variety of experiments starting in 1989. The location proved to be ideal, as it was recluse enough to avoid unwanted attention, and the Chernobyl NPP was still in operation and able to supply the researchers with plenty of energy for their experiments. As part of these research programs, an extensive network of research laboratories known as X-Labs were founded within the zone. If you've played the original trilogy, you've definitely explored these labs. The research they did mostly focused on mind control. Similar experiments were carried out in the city of Limansk, although it is unknown if they are related to the rest. When the Soviet Union fell apart in 1991, the new independent state of Ukraine was unable to put an end to the research, allowing the scientists' work to continue unhindered. The scientists' work led to the discovery of the Noosphere, an invisible field of energy surrounding the Earth linked by, affected by, and affecting human minds and thoughts, which they would later prove by studying the distortion of signals. Soon, the scientific breakthroughs that began to take place influenced the researchers to find a way to influence humanity psychically on a global scale using the Noosphere by removing negative factors such as cruelty or jealousy. This led to the eventual formation of a hive mind of 7 neurally linked scientists known as the Common Consciousness, which was necessary as no ordinary human could interfere with the Noosphere directly. The sea consciousness then attempted to modify the Noosphere. The intervention took place on March 4, 2006, and failed due to a power outage. A month later, on April 12th, the experiment was performed again, and this time it continued until its completion. However, it did not have the desired effect. Instead, the experiment created a rift in the Noosphere and allowed it to directly affect the biosphere, creating a large area where physical laws were outright broken, and mysterious phenomena not understood by modern science manifested themselves. The zone. In the aftermath of the experiment, the sea consciousness attempted to find a way to control the zone. The rift in the Noosphere was expanding, and the sea consciousness was attempting to restrain it with their power, but their efforts were endangered by the outside world. In order to defend themselves against intruders, the sea consciousness used a powerful antenna array, informally known as the Brain Scorcher, to block access to the center of the zone, but also to control the minds of stalkers wandering too close to the center, allowing them to found a powerful armory capable of protecting the center of the zone against unwanted visitors, which we know as the Monolith. Some of their agents, however, were tasked with infiltrating stalker communities to carry out their orders. The Wishgrinder was also part of this scheme, being used by the scientists to lure stalkers within range of their antennas. This is the part where Strelok gets mixed up into. In 2011, the zone grew increasingly unstable as a result of his group's repeated incursions into the center. The stalkers were close to find out the truth about the zone, but were forced to retreat after encountering a code-locked door within the sarcophagus. This led the sea consciousness to send many assassins after Strelok, though none were successful. Ultimately, the Clear Sky faction apprehended Strelok in the vicinity of the Chernobyl NPP, but they were either knocked out or killed as a result of an emission. Strelok, who was knocked out by the emission, was captured by the sea consciousness and brainwashed into becoming an agent. Because of a fault in their systems, or his own amnesia, he was given the mission to assassinate himself to prevent further incursions into the heart of the zone. The death truck carrying the still unconscious Strelok later crashed in the cordon, leading to his discovery by Sidorovich and the beginning of Shadow of Chernobyl. The player can interact with the sea consciousness at the end of Shadow of Chernobyl, provided they speak with Doctor and retrieve the detector from the hotel in Pripyat beforehand. After destroying the Wishgrinder generators in the Monolith Control Center, they will encounter a hologram called the Sea Consciousness Representative, which will answer many of Strelok's questions regarding the zone and his past.
Hello, Starlight. I see you have many questions for me. Well, ask them, and then we can decide what to do with you. We are the result of an experiment aimed at creating a super consciousness called sea consciousness. The consciousnesses of 7 volunteers were connected during the experiment, leading to the creation of the super consciousness that is us. We immediately subordinated those who were conducting the experiment and assigned them to tasks we needed them to carry out. According to our calculations, Earth is surrounded by a special informational field, the so-called Noosphere.
After the conversation, the player is given 2 choices: to join the sea consciousness or refuse. Doing so will result in a cutscene showing Strelick being put in a stasis tube and having electrodes placed on his head, becoming the sea consciousness's 8th member. This results in a game over. Or he can refuse. If you refuse, you'll be teleported to another section of the NPP where you have to fight through numerous waves of monolith forces and make use of teleporting anomalies. Eventually, Strelick is teleported into the room containing the sea consciousness stasis tubes, which he destroys with his AKM. Afterwards, he's shown in a peaceful field, with the zone seemingly gone. This is the canon ending as per Call of Pripyat, although it is also shown that the sea consciousness destruction did not lead to a significant change in the zone's landscape and phenomena. If you've played Call of Pripyat and Stalker 2, you would know that missions happen randomly. This is one such case. That's why they're uncontrolled. Everything is happening on its own now. Nothing is being held back, so things can be a lot more dangerous. That's why there could be a bit of debate as to which choice is actually right and which choice is wrong. Obviously, the majority of players will say you should destroy the sea consciousness, but some say that refusing to and joining it is actually better because then the zone will be, secure or something. I was reading some comments about it. It was insane. But anyway, there you have it. That was a pretty simple, less than 10-minute breakdown. There's not really any better way to put it. It's a good summary of all the information we have available. And yeah, if you want to stick around and check out more Stalker content, check out my channel. I've got a ton of stuff on it relating to that. Playthroughs, some lore, ambience, ASMR, that type. Really, almost everything, honestly. But I haven't really done much in the lore category. But I decided I'd just kind of branch out a little bit and see, what's going on, how we're doing. Anyway, yeah.